All right. Good afternoon, everyone who's watching over on YouTube. And of course, you're going to play this over on Anchor for all of your podcast needs. And this is Ryan Monakil for another episode of Usapang Musiko Season 2. We're on our 25th episode. Wow. It's really, really nice. It's a nice journey to be in right now. Really just talking about everything under the sun, no? And of course, things you can relate to as musicians and as, regular people as well, no? All right. So for today's episode, I wanted to talk about rest and recovery as musicians. Okay, we don't hear this a lot in even in the industry, no? About resting and recovery. Parang music industry is like seen as pretty much like the most underrated industry when it comes to work. The literal meaning of work. Like they always think that musicians only do so much work. If you ask people around, no, those people who went to cruise ships and hotels, who play in bar gigs or whatever, wherever they may go with other people of certain different industries, especially the restaurants and the hotels, they always think that the musicians' work is pretty easy. They go in, play for like 2-3 hours in a day, and they get paid 3 to 4 times the salary of the people serving the the restaurants or the hotels, no? And they seem to envy a lot of musicians. We hear this a lot with people working in cruise ships, with people working in hotels. No, I've experienced the kind of envy other people see, but they don't really see that we put in the work even before we go to work, right? They don't see the hours that we put into practice, the rehearsals, no, just to make that moment, that one moment, that whole hour set be the best it can be, no? We put in the hours before you even see the product. And they don't see that struggle. And they think that our lives are easy. Now, if you tell them, okay, how about we switch jobs? Do what I do. Diba? They would, of course, they won't agree with us because they don't understand how we work. But yeah, they don't see the hard work that we put in. They only see the finished product, to say the least. No, in performances, they don't see how much work we really put in. All right. Now, I want to talk about rest and recovery because we don't talk about it as much as we need to, no? It's the same thing, no? I would always like to compare musicians to athletes because it's practically the same thing. Athletes are only using their bigger muscles and they are more prone to injury because of the range of motion and the movements that they actually do. But musicians also are prone to injuries as well. And I want to share my own injuries that I suffered not because of an accident or anything like that, but because of prolonged overuse of my body. And yeah, it's one of the things why I always try to take rests, but I don't do it too often enough, I think. I still overload my body sometimes, no. Just like now, I'm literally resting my body from streaming uh on sessions live this week. So I will see if I can stream again in the following weeks, but for now I just want that rest. First of all, not because of my body's breaking down too much, but I just need the time because if I'm streaming 2 hours a day, it's not just 2 hours of preparation. I have to prepare a lot more than just 2 hours. No, so it's taking up a lot of my time, and I think this is the best time to actually just sit back and relax a bit so that I can focus on other things that I have planned for this year, and I'm working on it, and I'm really excited to share it with you. All right, so let me share to you my story of how I was let's say, diagnosed with an injury, and how I actually overcame it or something like that. No? And that opened my mind into a new realm for not a lot of people get to see most of the time. And that is, yeah, rest and recovery for musicians. Okay. So back in 2017, I think I was graduating during that time. So in the university that I went to, when it's around April, March, April, May, is the time that everyone is going for their graduation recitals, junior recitals, for them to finish their schooling, no, in the conservatory. So, as an orchestra member during that time, I would be playing on a lot of concerts, no, back to back recitals. Like we had the rehearsals every day, Monday to Sunday. I mean Monday to Saturday. Sometimes Sundays we had uh performances as well. So I was really playing. I think it was around 12 to 14 hours, 8 to 12 hours a day. Almost, no, because I also practice at home. So I was still practicing my repertoire for my own recital, practicing for others' recitals as well. So I had to really almost divide myself up so that I can cater to everyone who is actually going to have their recital. So that's what I did. No? And there was one time I was looking at my arm. I was looking at my right arm, and then I saw it was throbbing right around here. Okay, this part of my arm. So I actually finished my recitals and all the concerts that I needed to before I went to the hospital and got checked. So I got an orthopedic uh to look at what's wrong with my body. So they had me tested, a lot of tests, different types of tests. They were first looking at carpal tunnel syndrome, as it was like the main um concern for a lot of musicians, but it wasn't that. It was a different type of the same thing. Basically, the nerves in my arms were like swelling. The muscles in my arms, for that matter, were like swelling, and that they were hindering with the nerves of my fingers. So it was right here, right near the elbow, that muscle. They call it, I think, the pronator teres muscle. They call the injury, or whatever you may call it, uh, tennis elbow. So yeah, it was because of prolonged overuse of the body. So what was the cure? There was no cure. It's just rest. And I rested after graduation. I rested for like 2 to 3 months. No, I didn't play. Pero syempre, makulit ko eh. So, I'd still get my instrument and still play just a bit. I had to just rest, no? Do a couple of exercises that my doctors told me to do. And then I had to take medication just to alleviate the pain. But it was not really painful. It was just annoying. You know, the feeling that you're when you're doing something with your hands, and then there's something that's happening that you know is not normal. It's just annoying for me. It wasn't really painful that I was experiencing so much pain. No, it was just annoying, you know. And I rested for like 3 months, and then everything went well. Now I'm still working on it because I don't know, even though we're locked down, we're like in this situation, I still practice more just because I don't do much a lot. So I play a lot more. I think I'm playing at like 4 to 6 hours every day, minus the practice time. I still practice, so maybe around 8 hours a day, almost, no? So I think I'm overloading my body again. And I'm just feeling a little bit of discomfort this past week. So I just needed to take a rest. And yeah. So I think it's really, really overlooked how much rest can impact your body. And it's not just do you sleep 8 hours a day? No, it's not that kind of rest. It's more of taking care of your body, having at least, maybe you don't need to practice every day your body, because at a certain level you already know what you need to do. So setting up, for example, just a day where you don't hold your instrument is a good thing, or you don't practice on a certain day. I've heard people don't practice during Sunday. Some of my friends do that. They don't really hold their instruments during Sundays too. So you can also do that, no, as a form of rest. But we're also missing recovery. And how do you recover after resting? Because if you look into how workouts go, there's always a recovery period. You're not advised to go to the gym like 7 days a week and train only one muscle group, right? You're taught to go once a week, lift once a week a certain muscle group, then you repeat that after, uh, you know, 7 days. After a week, you repeat the muscle group that you need to train. So you're not overloading that muscle. But the thing about if you're playing an instrument is that you're only using a certain group or set of muscles, and you're gonna overload it, no? Even though you're not practicing too much, there's always going to be a point where your body would just break down. So just like a car, you need maintenance, diba? And how do you maintain? It's by resting and recovery. And I think it should be part of how we are taught, not just in practice. Not just we shouldn't be just having to be taught etudes and scales. I mean, we should be taught how to stretch, and also how to properly rest your body, how to properly recover from certain movements. It's important that we understand these things, no? So you can have massages, no? That's really a nice way for your muscles to relax, no? So getting a good massage, whether it's the massage gun that's available everywhere now, I think it's a nice investment as well. If you can get real massages, no, as a massage gun would be helpful for your body so much, no. And of course, uh adequate rest, using like heat pads or something like that, no, hot cold compresses, just to alleviate some of the soreness of your muscles, no. Because if we look at it in a scientific manner, all the things that we do are, one, destroying your muscles, and two, to recreate those muscles you need to recover and rest them, no. Because it's the same thing as lifting heavy weights. You can't lift uh heavy weights for one muscle group. For example, you're training your biceps for 7 days in a week. That will just cause your muscles to tear, and they will not repair themselves, no? And it's really, really important to note those things, no? Because it's happening at a micro level for musicians. Because as athletes, you're using bigger muscles. So they take more strain because they're bigger. And if you're using your fingers, no, the smaller muscles are working, you're not really going to see that they recover much faster because it's smaller and they're doing a lot more work, no. We're putting in effort every day that we are practicing. We have to understand that there are risks involved, no. I've always looked at the older generation of musicians, like my professor back in college, no, Sir Emilia. He was like, I think 80, 90. When I got to the university, 85. He was 85. Yeah. So basically, at his age, he was always talking about the he can't move his pinky finger anymore. Like, I don't know what happened. It's hindering him from performing as much as he wants. No. And I think it's because of some long term overuse injury. No. And we've seen a lot of older generation musicians, especially violinists, that have hunched backs, no? And I think it's also part of that because as science develops, there are more things that we find out about our body and how it reacts to certain movements. And I feel that because they were playing at such a young age and continue to do so without understanding much about how their body is reacting to it, they don't really understand it much. Why? Because the science is not there, no? Not a lot of people study musicians versus athletes, you know? You see a lot of documentaries or like shows showing sports science, but how about music science? There's no um notable shows that talk about those things, no? A lot of the music related science shows only talk about the instrument but not the body movements concerned with those things. And I think if we raise awareness about those things, it would be better for the longevity of a lot of musicians. No, we hear like musicians stopping from performing just because one, they can't move their bodies anymore, and two, sometimes it's because of their poor eyesight na, no? So those things, as science progresses, should also progress in the industry of music. And I just want to share this to raise awareness, no, for a lot of people, that quality is better than quantity. Okay. When it comes to practices. So limit your practice so that you can have time to rest. No. Try not to practice for like over 4 hours a day, and try to segment your practices with breaks in between so that you can rest not just your mind, no, because it's really important that you also work your mind and rest your mind, but rest your body as well. So do dynamic stretches, massages, and of course, eat right. You have to eat properly, have a balanced diet, because it really affects how your body could react to certain things, you know, because our bodies produce these types of hormones or stuff when we're doing certain things. And how you actually eat, if you eat healthier, it would really benefit you in the long run, no? And yeah, basically that's what we all need, no? I know a lot of musicians as well right now are like me, always sitting down because we're working online. So try to stretch in between your classes, and of course also protect your eyesight, no? Try to wear UV blocking, blue light blocking specs or whatever, all those things. Just take care of yourself. No? That's one thing. And always listen to how your body is reacting. If you're feeling uncomfortable, if you're feeling awkward with certain things, maybe there's something wrong that's happening. So work with your body, talk to your body, no? And then, as I always tell my students, if they're doing something and they're not comfortable with it after doing it for a long time, maybe they need to stop and just check out what's wrong with their bodies, no? Because as we all know, we have different body types and we react to different things based on how we experience them, no? So sometimes a certain technique might not work for you because your body is not adept enough. So stop and look at other ways you can actually work with your body. So that's how you try to work with it. All right. So again, just take care of yourselves, guys, especially all musicians out there. I know the streaming life is quite hard, no? That's why I think you really need breaks, no? Um playing in front of the computer is a challenge in itself, but I'm having fun with it, no? I'm actually missing it parang for so long. I think almost 4 months, 3 months na akong nag-stream. I've been streaming 6 times a week, but yeah, I just really need to rest so that I can give more. in some other time. So catch me again on Sessions Live. I'll be announcing when I'm going to stream again, and hopefully you'll be there and watch my streams. Now, if you're craving for more, you can also always rewatch some of my streams. I have a ton of streams recorded there on YouTube. Check out my YouTube channel. You can watch them there. And maybe if you can suggest songs that we can put on our next live streams on Sessions Live, it will be fun. It would be great help for me to give you what you want. All right, so I will end this podcast. I hope you learned something new today, and I hope you take care of your bodies and minds as well, as we are still in a pretty bad situation, to say the least. No, I mean, yeah, everything's going good, events popping up here and there, but we're still not that safe. So take care of yourself, and of course, get some rest and recover properly. And yeah, thank you again for our partners, Default Cafe Pub. If you're gonna order, click the link in the description. And also check out my course on Udemy. Check me out on Spotify. Like my Facebook page, Instagram page, TikTok page, Twitter. And of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And for my podcasts, it's on Anchor. And I will see you on the next one.